My name is Nichole. I'm 30 years old. And this New Year's Eve was supposed to be the first time I celebrated midnight for myself instead of watching someone else's children fall asleep before the ball even dropped. Instead, I ended up staring at my phone as my mom's face filled the screen during a video call, her eyes wide with panic as she said, "You need to tell me this is a joke right now." Behind her, pure chaos. A baby screaming. Two kids fighting over a remote. The unmistakable sound of something expensive shattering. On my end of the call, my mom was looking at the Instagram story I had posted just minutes before, me in a silver dress, champagne flute raised, the Miami skyline sparkling behind me with the caption, "Cheers to new beginnings." She had built her entire New Year's around one assumption, the same assumption my family had operated on for years, that I would quietly cancel my own plans to babysit 5 kids while everyone else boarded a yacht and popped bottles. No compensation, no real appreciation, just the expectation that because I'm single and don't have a real family, my time didn't matter. We're counting on you, and it's just one night, and what else were you really doing anyway? But this year, I didn't sacrifice my life to save theirs. I made a choice she never saw coming, and I let her find out in real time. The thing is, this story didn't start with that panic video call. It started 3 weeks earlier with one conversation that finally broke something inside me and made me realize I was tired of being treated like the family appliance instead of an actual person. If you've ever been dismissed as the automatic babysitter just because you're single or don't have kids, stay with me until the end and tell me if you think I was wrong or if I should have done it sooner. Subscribe so you never miss a story, and drop a comment telling me if you've ever been the family's backup plan. 3 weeks before New Year's Eve, I was at my desk finishing up a project proposal when my phone rang.
Mom.
I almost didn't answer because I was on a deadline, but years of conditioning told me that ignoring her call would somehow become my fault later. So I picked up. She didn't even say hello, just launched straight into it like she was reading off a grocery list. "So for New Year's Eve, we need you to watch the kids. Sarah and Mark are bringing their 4, and Angela's dropping off baby Ethan too. We've got reservations for this incredible yacht party. Adults only, champagne at midnight, the whole thing. It's going to be amazing." I sat there for a second, waiting for the part where she asked if I was available. It never came. She just kept talking about the yacht, about the dress she bought, about how this was going to be the perfect way to ring in the new year. Finally, I interrupted her. "Mom, I can't. I already have plans for New Year's Eve." There was this pause. Not the kind where someone's processing what you said. The kind where someone's deciding whether to take you seriously or not. Plans. She said it like I'd just told her I was planning to fly to the moon. What plans? I booked a trip to Miami months ago. There's this rooftop event, and I've got a hotel reservation and everything. It's already paid for. She laughed. Actually laughed. Not a polite chuckle, but this dismissive sound that made my stomach tighten. "Nichole, come on. Just cancel it. Move it to another weekend. It's not like it's a wedding or something important." "It is important," I said, trying to keep my voice steady. "I've been looking forward to this for months. I paid a deposit that's non-refundable." "Well, that was silly of you to book something without checking with the family first. You know how these holidays work. We all pitch in. Besides, what else are you really doing? It's not like you have a husband or kids to spend it with. It's just you. You can go to Miami literally any other time." I felt something crack inside my chest. Not like you have a family. As if my life was just this empty calendar waiting to be filled with everyone else's needs. As if the fact that I was single meant my time was communal property. "I'm not canceling my trip, Mom." "Nichole, be reasonable. Sarah and Mark are really counting on this. They've barely had a night out since the twins were born. And Angela just got back with her ex. They need this reconnection time. You're the only one without commitments. It's one night. Surely, you can be flexible for your family." Flexible. That word again. The word that had defined my entire adult life. Be flexible. Be understanding. Be available. Be everything to everyone except myself. I have plans, I repeated, but my voice sounded weak even to my own ears. We'll talk about this later when you're thinking clearly, she said, and hung up before I could respond. I sat there staring at my phone, and for the first time in years, I felt something shift. Not anger exactly. Something colder. Something final. That phone call sat with me for hours, but it wasn't new. It was just the latest entry in a decade-long pattern I'd been too exhausted to properly see. As I sat there in the silence of my apartment, memories started flooding back, each one a small funeral for a moment I'd never get back. There was David's 30th birthday 3 years ago. I'd made reservations at this restaurant he'd been wanting to try for months, the kind of place you book 6 weeks in advance. 2 hours before we were supposed to leave, Sarah called, crying. Mark had to work late unexpectedly. She had no one to watch the kids, and she couldn't miss her book club because she was hosting. Could I please, just this once, come watch them for a few hours? I remembered standing in my bedroom, already dressed, makeup done, looking at David's disappointed face as I explained I had to cancel. He said he understood. He didn't. We broke up 4 months later. At the end, he told me he felt like he was dating someone who was already married to her family's problems. Then there was the promotion celebration I'd organized last spring. After 2 years of late nights and weekend work, I'd finally made senior project manager. My team wanted to take me out, colleagues I actually liked, people who treated my accomplishments like they mattered. I'd been at the restaurant for maybe 40 minutes when Mom called. Angela had an emergency date with her on-again, off-again boyfriend, the one who'd cheated on her twice, and someone needed to watch baby Ethan. When I hesitated, Mom's voice went cold. I guess we know where your priorities are. I'll just tell Angela her sister doesn't care about her happiness. I left before they even brought out the dessert they'd ordered to celebrate me. But the one that still made my chest ache was Rachel's wedding 2 summers ago. Rachel, my best friend since college, the person who'd held my hand through my father's funeral, who'd helped me move 4 times, who knew me better than anyone. She asked me to be a bridesmaid a year in advance. I bought the dress. I planned the bachelorette party. I was supposed to stand next to her while she married the love of her life. The week before the wedding, Mom informed me that she'd volunteered to host a family reunion that same weekend. Cousins were flying in from out of state. Someone responsible needed to coordinate childcare for all the kids while the adults caught up. Rachel will have plenty of people standing with her, Mom said when I protested. But family only comes around once in a while. She'll understand. I called Rachel, crying, trying to explain. She said all the right things, but I heard the hurt underneath. I saw the wedding photos later on social media. There was an empty spot in the bridesmaid lineup where I should have been. That's when I realized something that made me feel sick. I'd been erasing myself piece by piece, and I'd been the one holding the eraser. I called Keisha the next morning. I needed to talk to someone who existed outside the family gravity well, someone who might tell me I wasn't being selfish for wanting one night to myself. We met at our usual coffee shop, and before I could even finish explaining the yacht party situation, she put her cup down hard enough that coffee sloshed over the rim. "Stop," she said. "Just stop. When was the last time they asked if you needed help with something?" I opened my mouth and then closed it. I couldn't think of a single time. "Exactly," Keisha continued. "Because they don't see you as a person who has needs. They see you as an appliance, like a dishwasher or a vacuum cleaner. You're just there, always available, always functional, and nobody thinks about what you might require to keep running." "That's harsh," I said, but my voice was weak. "It's true. Think about it, Nick. When Angela needed someone to watch Ethan for her disaster boyfriend date, did she ask if you had plans? When Sarah needed emergency babysitting for book club, did she consider that you might have a life? They don't ask. They inform. They expect. They guilt." I stared into my coffee, watching the cream swirl. "It's different. They have kids. Their lives are harder. I'm just what? Just single? Just without kids? Just less important. Keisha leaned forward. Your life is not a backup generator that only matters when everyone else's power goes out. You have a job you worked your butt off for. You have friends. You have dreams and plans and a whole existence that's just as valid as theirs. But they've trained you to believe it isn't. Something hot pressed behind my eyes. I don't know how to stop it. You do know. You just feel guilty about doing it. There's a difference. She reached across the table and grabbed my hand. They've spent years conditioning you to feel like setting a boundary is the same thing as being cruel. It's not. Saying no is not an act of violence, Nick. It's an act of self-preservation. But they're family. So are you. When do you get to be family? When does someone protect your time, your energy, your life? She squeezed my hand tighter. You've been complicit in your own erasure. I'm not saying that to be mean. I'm saying it because I love you, and I'm watching you disappear. Every time you cancel your plans, every time you sacrifice something that matters to you, you're teaching them that you don't matter. And eventually you start believing it too. I sat there, and for the first time, I let myself feel the weight of all those years. The resentment I'd been swallowing. The anger I'd been calling selfishness. The exhaustion I'd been pretending was just tiredness. What if I just went to Miami anyway? I said quietly. Keisha smiled, but it was sad. Then you'd finally be choosing yourself. And, honestly, it's about damn time. This is the moment everything changes. And, trust me, the way Nichole executes this boundary is something you need to see play out. If you're not subscribed yet, do it now because the fallout is about to get intense. 2 days after my conversation with Keisha, I was in a meeting when my phone started buzzing repeatedly. I glanced down and saw notification after notification from the family group chat, the one Mom had created years ago called Richards Family Fun. There was nothing fun about it. It was mostly just a digital bulletin board for guilt distribution. During my lunch break, I finally opened it. My stomach dropped. Mom had posted, "Great news, everyone. Nichole has graciously offered to babysit all the kiddos on New Year's Eve so we adults can enjoy the yacht party together. So grateful to have such a generous sister and daughter who's always willing to help family. Drop-off will be at Nichole's place at 6 p.m. Don't forget to pack overnight bags just in case things run late." I read it 3 times, my heart pounding harder with each pass. Graciously offered. I hadn't offered anything. I'd explicitly said no. But there it was, a lie presented as established fact, pinning me in front of the entire family. The responses came flooding in immediately. Sarah. OMG, Nick, you're a lifesaver. The twins have been so much lately. I really need this night out. Thank you so much. Angela. You're the best. Ethan's been teething like crazy, so he might be fussy, but I'll send his favorite pacifier. Mark. Appreciate you, sis. Sarah, and I haven't had a date night in months. My cousin Jennifer, who I barely even talked to. Wow, Nichole, so nice of you. Wish I had a sister like you. Even my uncle chimed in. That's what family is all about. Good to see the younger generation still understands sacrifice. Each message felt like a brick added to a wall, trapping me behind their gratitude for something I never agreed to. The worst part was how Mom had phrased it. Not Nichole will babysit, or even, I asked Nichole to babysit. She said I offered. She made it sound like it was my idea, my gift to them, my choice. It was brilliant, really, in a manipulative kind of way. If I corrected her now, I wouldn't just be saying no to helping. I'd be calling my mother a liar in front of the whole family. I'd be the bad guy who promised to help and then backed out. I'd be ruining everyone's plans, disappointing people who were now counting on me, making Sarah cry about how much she needed this, making Angela complain about how no one supports her. The trap was perfect. Either I showed up at 6 p.m. on New Year's Eve with a smile, or I became the villain of the family story for the next decade. I stared at my phone. reading their thank yous and heart emojis, and felt something crystallize inside me. Something cold and clear and final. I didn't respond to the group chat. Not with a correction. Not with a confirmation. Not with anything at all. Instead, I opened my airline app and checked in for my Miami flight. Then I pulled up my hotel reservation and added the early check-in option. If Mom wanted to play games with the truth, fine. But I was done playing. That night, I sat at my kitchen table with my laptop open and a glass of wine I wasn't drinking. My phone kept lighting up with more messages from the family chat. Sarah asking what the kids' bedtime should be. Angela wanted to know if I had the right formula for Ethan. Mom sending a thumbs-up emoji like this was all perfectly normal. I ignored every notification and opened my email instead. The Miami hotel confirmation stared back at me. The Meridian Rooftop Resort. Ocean View Room. 3 nights. I'd booked it back in September, right after a particularly brutal week where I'd babysat 4 nights in a row because Sarah had a cold and Mom said I was the only one who could help. I remembered sitting on my couch that weekend, exhausted and alone, and thinking, I need something to look forward to. Something that's just mine. I clicked through to the hotel website and upgraded to early check-in. Added it to the reservation.
Confirmed. Non refundable.
Next was the flight. I'd originally booked a late morning departure on December 31st, thinking I'd have the whole day to pack and prepare. Now I moved it up. December 30th, 3 p.m. If I left work a little early, I could make it with time to spare. I selected my seat, paid the change fee, and hit confirm. The new itinerary populated in my email. Also non-refundable. Then came the event ticket. The New Year's Eve rooftop party at the Meridian. It was the whole reason I'd chosen this hotel. $200 for premium access, open bar, DJ, champagne toast at midnight with a view of the Miami skyline. I'd been looking at the event photos for months, imagining myself there, free and happy and celebrating something that had nothing to do with anyone else's needs. I clicked the link to the ticket. My cursor hovered over the purchase button. This was it. This was the point of no return. If I bought this ticket, if I spent this money, there would be no backing out. No last-minute guilt redemption. No showing up at my door at 5:55 p.m. on New Year's Eve with an apologetic smile and a bottle of wine to keep me company while I watched 5 kids destroy my apartment. My phone buzzed again. Mom, in the group chat. Nichole, sweetie, can you confirm you got all these messages? Just want to make sure we're all on the same page. I looked at her message. Then I looked at the ticket purchase button. I clicked it. Payment processing. Confirmation page loaded. E-ticket sent to my email.
Done.
I sat back and took a breath. My hands were shaking, but not from fear. From something else. Something that felt like freedom, or maybe just the anticipation of it. I wasn't going to correct the lie in the group chat. I wasn't going to argue or explain or defend my decision. I wasn't going to give them the chance to wear me down with guilt or tears or accusations of selfishness. I was going to let them find out the truth the same way I'd found out about their plans. Suddenly, when it was too late to do anything about it, December 30th arrived cold and gray, the kind of winter morning that makes you want to stay in bed forever. I woke up at 6 a.m., even though my flight wasn't until 3. I couldn't sleep. My suitcase sat by the door, packed the night before with summer dresses and sandals and the silver outfit I'd bought specifically for the rooftop party. I went through my morning routine on autopilot. Shower.
Coffee.
Double-checking my bag for my ID and boarding pass. The normalcy of it all felt surreal, like I was watching myself prepare for something that couldn't possibly be real. My phone started buzzing around 9. Sarah, in the group chat. So excited for tomorrow night. The twins are already asking why they get to have a sleepover at Aunt Nick's house. Then Angela. Quick question. Does Ethan need to bring his portable crib, or do you have something he can sleep in? Mom. Girls, let's finalize the details. Nichole, what time should we start arriving tomorrow? And Do you need us to bring anything? I read each message as it came in.
Didn't respond.
Just watched them pile up like evidence. At 11, I locked my apartment door and headed to work for a half day. I'd told my boss I was taking the afternoon off for a flight, and she'd smiled knowingly and said have fun. She was one of the few people who knew the truth about my family dynamics. She'd told me once that boundaries weren't mean, they were necessary, and I nodded like I understood. I was only just starting to actually believe it. My phone kept buzzing through meetings. Mark confirming drop-off time. Jennifer asking if she should bring her daughter too, since everyone else was. Mom wondering why I wasn't responding and hoping everything was okay. At 1 p.m., I left the office. Drove home. Changed into travel clothes. Called an Uber to the airport. As I locked my apartment door for the last time before the trip, my phone rang.
Mom.
I stared at her name on the screen, my hand on my suitcase handle. For a split second, I almost answered. Almost fell back into the pattern. Almost let her voice rewire my resolve. I let it go to voicemail. The Uber pulled up. The driver helped with my bag. I slid into the back seat and we pulled away from my building, away from my neighborhood, toward the airport, and everything waiting on the other side of this decision.
My phone buzzed again.
Mom's voicemail notification, then a text. Nichole, call me back, please. Need to confirm a few things about tomorrow. Another text from Sarah. Is 6 p.m. still good? Or should we do 5:30? Angela. Also forgot to ask, what's your Wi-Fi password so I can give it to the older kids? I watched the messages come in as the city passed by my window. Read every single one. Didn't respond to any of them. At the airport, I checked my bag, went through security, found my gate. Sat down and ordered a coffee from the cafe nearby. My flight started boarding at 2:30. My phone buzzed one more time. Mom. Sweetie, you're worrying me. Please just send a quick text so I know you got all our messages about tomorrow. I turned my phone to airplane mode, stood up, and got in line to board. New Year's Eve in Miami was everything I'd imagined. Warm ocean breeze, palm trees strung with lights, the kind of effortless beauty that felt like permission to exhale. I'd spent the day at the beach, had a late lunch at a cafe overlooking the water, and returned to my hotel room around 5 to start getting ready for the rooftop party. I took my time, did my makeup carefully, styled my hair, slipped into the silver dress that caught the light when I moved, put on the heels I'd bought but never had anywhere special to wear, looked at myself in the mirror and barely recognized the woman looking back. She looked free. The party started at 7. By 8 p.m., I was on the rooftop with a champagne flute in my hand, the Miami skyline glittering around me like a promise. The DJ was playing something with a good beat. People were laughing, dancing, celebrating the year ahead. I felt light, untethered. Like I'd been carrying something heavy for so long I'd forgotten what it felt like to stand up straight. That's when I decided to post the photo. I handed my phone to a woman next to me at the railing and asked if she'd mind taking a picture. She smiled and took several, catching me with my champagne raised, the city lights behind me, my face genuinely happy. I chose the best one, added the caption, "Cheers to new beginnings," and posted it to Instagram. Then I turned my phone back on. The notifications came instantly.
Dozens of them.
Missed calls from Mom, Sarah, Angela, Mark. Frantic texts in the group chat. Voicemails piling up one after another. I opened the group chat first. Sarah at 5:45 p.m. We're leaving in 15 minutes. See you soon. Mom at 6:10 p.m. Nichole, we're here. Your door is locked? Where are you? Sarah at 6:15 p.m. Tried calling, it's going straight to voicemail. Are you running late? Angela at 6:23 p.m. This isn't funny. We need to leave for the yacht soon. Where are you? Mom at 6:30 p.m. Nichole Marie Richards, call me right now. Then the calls started. 7 missed calls from Mom, 4 from Sarah, 3 from Angela. Even Mark had tried twice. I took a sip of my champagne and watched as new messages appeared in real time, everyone apparently refreshing their Instagram feeds and seeing my post. Sarah, are you kidding me right now? Mom, you're in Miami? Angela, what are we supposed to do with the kids? My phone started ringing. Mom's face filled the screen. I let it ring through to voicemail. It immediately started ringing again. I declined the call and watched as a video call request came through. Against my better judgment, or maybe because some part of me needed to see it, I answered. Mom's face appeared, and behind her I could see exactly what I'd expected.
Pure caos.
Sarah's twins fighting over something. Angela trying to hold a screaming Ethan. One of the other kids crying. Someone had spilled something on the floor. How could you do this to us? Mom's voice cracked, and I could see her struggling between fury and panic. I took another sip of champagne, smiled at the camera, and said the words I should have said weeks ago. I told you I had plans. Then I ended the call. I turned my phone to silent and slipped it into my purse, but curiosity got the better of me an hour later. I stepped away from the party into a quieter corner of the rooftop and opened my messages. What I found was a digital crime scene. The group chat had exploded into full-scale warfare. Sarah, at 7:15 p.m. Mom, you promised she agreed to this. You said she offered. We paid $400 for our tickets to this yacht party. Mark, we can't just leave 5 kids here unsupervised. Someone needs to stay. Angela, well, it's not going to be me. I already told Daniel I'd be there. This is supposed to save our relationship. Mom, I don't understand. She never said she was going to Miami. She would have told me. Sarah, did you actually ask her or did you just assume? The timestamps showed the exact moment everything fell apart. At 7:30 p.m., when the yacht was supposed to depart, Mom posted a single message. We're not going to make it. I have to stay with the kids. Sarah's response was immediate. Are you serious? We spent $800 on tickets. That's non-refundable. Then came the voice messages. I pressed play on the first one from Sarah, and even through the phone, I could hear the chaos. Kids crying in the background, Sarah's voice shaking with anger. I cannot believe you did this, Mom. You told us she agreed. You put it in the group chat like it was confirmed. Mark and I got a babysitter for last weekend because we were saving our one night out for this. Do you know how much we were looking forward to this? And now we're stuck here while you promised something you couldn't deliver. The next voice message was from Angela, and she was crying. Daniel just broke up with me. Again. He said I'm unreliable because I told him tonight was happening, and now I'm canceling. This was supposed to fix things, and you ruined it. You and Nichole both ruined it. But the texts kept coming, and they weren't all directed at Mom anymore. Mark, clearly to Sarah privately, but she'd screenshotted and sent to me. Your mom straight up lied. I went back and checked. Nichole never responded to that group chat message. Not once. Your mom just announced it like it was fact. Sarah's response to the group. Mom, did Nichole actually agree to babysit, or did you just decide she would? The silence in the chat after that question lasted 11 minutes. I watched the timestamps, imagining Mom scrambling for an answer that wouldn't make her the villain. Finally, I thought she understood family comes first. She's done it before. I didn't think I needed her explicit permission. Sarah, I didn't get her permission? Angela, so we all canceled our plans because you assumed? Jennifer, I turned down a party invite for this. I can't believe this. Uncle Richard, this is what happens when people stop communicating properly. The last message in the thread, time-stamped 9:47 p.m., was from Mom. I've lost $2,000 in yacht deposits, and apparently I've lost my daughter's respect too. Happy New Year, everyone. I put my phone away and went back to the party. Midnight was approaching, and I had a celebration to get to. I returned from Miami on January 2nd with a tan and a sense of peace I hadn't felt in years. My phone had been quiet since New Year's Day. No messages in the family chat. No calls from Mom. No guilt-tripping texts from Sarah or Angela. Just silence, which was somehow louder than all the chaos that came before it. I went back to work, back to my routine, back to my life that apparently didn't matter because I didn't have kids. Except now it felt different. Lighter. Like I'd put down a weight I didn't even realize I'd been carrying. 2 weeks passed. I almost thought the silence would be permanent, that I'd traded my family for a weekend in Miami and 3 nights of actual freedom. Part of me was okay with that. The other part, the one that still remembered Mom teaching me to bake cookies and Sarah braiding my hair when we were kids, felt the loss like a bruise. Then, on January 14th, my doorbell rang. I opened it to find Mom standing there, alone. No kids in tow, no emergency to leverage. She looked smaller somehow. Tired. "Can I come in?" she asked. I stepped aside and let her in. We sat on opposite ends of my couch, an ocean of unspoken things between us. "I owe you an apology," she started, and I waited for the but that always followed. The justification. The explanation of why she'd had no choice. It didn't come. "I stopped seeing you as a person with a life that matters. I saw you as the solution to everyone else's problems. You were single, you didn't have kids, so I decided your time was less valuable than everyone else's. I decided that for you, without asking, without caring what you wanted." She looked down at her hands. "I lied in that group chat because I knew if I actually asked you, you might say no. And I couldn't handle that, so I just took your choice away." I felt something crack in my chest, but not the same way it had when she'd laughed at my Miami plans. This was different. "You were right to go," she continued. "And I'm not saying that because I want you to feel bad or come back and fix things. I'm saying it because it's true. You deserve that trip. You deserve to have plans that matter. You deserve to be asked, not told." "What about Sarah and Angela?" I asked quietly. "They're angry. At me mostly. The yacht thing was a disaster that cost everyone money and exposed how I'd been operating. Sarah told me I weaponized your availability. She wasn't wrong." Mom took a breath. "If you ever want to help with the kids again, and I mean actually want to, not feel obligated to, we'll ask you. In advance. With actual notice. And we'll pay you because your time has value. And if I say no, then the answer is no.
No guilt. No manipulation.
No lying to everyone else and putting you in an impossible position." She met my eyes. "I can't promise I'll be perfect at this. I've spent years doing it the wrong way, but I'm going to try." I nodded slowly. Okay. I'll think about it. When you ask. If you ask." Mom stood up, and for the first time in a decade, she hugged me not because she needed something, but because she'd finally seen me. From being treated like an appliance to being treated like family. That's the power of enforcing a boundary. If you want more stories about people who stopped being doormats and started being heard, subscribe because I post these every week, and they only get better. 2 weeks later, Sarah texted, "Would you be available to watch the twins next Saturday from 2 to 6? We'll pay $25 per hour and bring dinner for you. Totally fine if you're busy." I smiled at my phone. "I'm free," I typed back. "See you then."